Hi, Jake.
Hey, good to go.
Had a bit of a spaghetti junction going on there with the wires.
Yeah, no worries. I see you got quite the setup over there. A lot more gear than I have.
Oh, it's years and years of collecting, and yeah, this isn't all of it either. We were going to move house,
Oh yeah.
but because of everything's going up and interest rates have gone, I think we've knocked it on the head. So a lot of my other gears over at my brother's, all packed up in boxes.
Oh, okay.
But to be honest, this room is literally that wide.
Yeah, it's probably about the same as mine. I can touch both walls probably with one hand.
Yeah, it's that's it. Yeah, like a little cupboard.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. It's nice to finally meet you in person. I've been watching your videos for a while now.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, it's great to finally meet face to face.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you too. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
So should I be calling you Bret or Bapsta, or what is that name? Where did that come from? And is that a nickname?
Um, it's a bit boring actually.
Oh,
BAP comes from my initials. It's literally my initials.
oh, okay.
For my three names. Um, I was I was called it at school, primary school. It started, and then a few people in high school, and then after that, one of my best friends started calling me Bapsta. He just put the sta on the end of it,
Okay.
and then it stuck.
Hmm.
And there's only certain people call me Bret, which is my name, obviously. um, which is mainly my family members, or if I've been naughty.
Okay.
But everybody at work knows me as Bap,
Oh,
and I suppose now I'm on YouTube, people seem to know me as all three. Bapstarcade obviously was just an extension of Bapsta, and
yeah.
it seemed to just fit in well with arcade,
Yeah.
which was something I was always in when I was a kid. I was
Yeah.
absolutely obsessed with them. Yeah.
So I've been watching some of your videos. You have a ton of videos, obviously, on your site, on your channel. And how far back does it go? It looks like it might have started kind of around the time the Next came out. How did you decide to start a YouTube channel, and did it have anything to do with the Next being developed?
A little bit. I suppose it started with I was heavily into a game called Elite Dangerous.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the game.
I've heard you mention it. I'm not personally familiar with it, though.
Okay, so it's basically a, a huge space flight sim. It's based around the original game Elite,
Okay.
which was huge on pretty much all the 8-bit and 16-bit computer systems. Started off on the BBC, and the BBC is still considered Elite on the BBC is still considered to be the ultimate version.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I obviously played it on the Spectrum and Amiga at that time. But yeah, so I got involved in playing that game, and there was a community out there, an Elite Dangerous community, and started building that up with friends and whatever. Then I started a Twitch channel, started playing Elite Dangerous live on Twitch, and built up a little bit of a following there. And then they started doing events, like Comic Con, if you like, but it was called LaveCon.
Okay.
So I went along to one of those. Absolutely loved it. It was so good. It was all to do around that with Elite and Elite Dangerous, and science fiction in general. Met loads of people I was talking to online. So that was great. I sort of got my confidence up online doing Twitch, and then I thought, you know what, I won't mind doing a YouTube channel. And to be honest, it was when I first received my Kickstarter one of Spectrum Next. It just made me think, you know what, I've been on Twitch, building my confidence up. I'll see how I get on, because it's not something that is new to me. I've always played games. I've always collected different things, different tech. I'm actually a massive PC gamer.
Okay.
But all my retro stuff was all packed away. So everything that's around me now was all pretty much all packed away. I was just literally focused on my PC. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be doing anything different apart from recording it. My first couple of videos were recorded with an old video camera, which was my dad's, with the mini DV tapes.
Oh,
yeah. So that was fun, editing one video with one of those. The amount of time that took just to do one video,
I can imagine.
and then getting it, and then transferring it to a PC, and then compressing it all down. And the quality wasn't great, but I thought maybe that'll add to the authenticity of it being retro. And then I carried on, really, just improving. I always had problems with sound. I never quite got sound correct. I think it's because I was trying to.
It sounds okay now.
Yeah, it's a lot better now. I think it was because I was trying to do too much, plug too many things in, and it was almost as though I needed a sound desk in front of me, because I couldn't get my head round digital sound desks with virtual cables. I could not. My brain just could not get round it. I need to physically see and touch the cables, what I'm plugging in, and
yeah, right.
So yeah. So but yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah, Spectrum Next was the start of doing YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I noticed maybe within the first few of your videos, they were about the Next. I think you made one about adding a power switch to the inline power.
Yeah.
And, I forget what the other one was. Maybe an unboxing or something to do with the Next. So I thought maybe it might have been instrumental in your decision to start a YouTube channel, perhaps.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bapstarcade. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how you can use modern controllers like this, like a PlayStation 4 pad, on your Spectrum Next. So we'll plug the receiver into Joy 1. Turn on the Next. And then you'll notice this blue light here is looking for a device. So the first pad that we'll try is the Xbox One pad. Press the sync button and that will rapidly flash. Press the sync button on the receiver and there we go. The controller will vibrate. Then we've got a static light on the receiver.
And if I look at your description for your YouTube channel, I'm just going to read a bit of it here. It says, retro and modern retro gaming, software and hardware reviews, gameplay, podcast, and monthly series covering all systems, consoles, and computers, ZX Spectrum Next, Sinclair ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, and it lists a whole bunch of different systems. Does your channel have any particular focus? Like when you started it, were you planning on having a kind of a niche that you were going to target, or has it evolved over time just based on what you're interested in?
I suppose it has. I suppose it has evolved. In the beginning, it was literally just what machines I still owned from when I was a kid.
Okay.
Spectrum was going to be a big focus. I knew that because I'd still got my toast rack, my 128K toast rack, and I also had in the back of my mind the Amiga. The Amiga was very important to me because the Amiga computer was the machine that computer-wise that I moved over to. After I'd finished with the toast rack, my parents couldn't afford to buy me Amiga because they were really expensive back then. But my dad managed to find a seller and a good deal who was doing an Atari ST. And at the time, I was like, well, it looks pretty much the same, and I was happy with that. And I love the ST, absolutely loved it. It wasn't until I went round a friend's house on a dinner time, and he was like, "Oh, come and see my new computer. It's called a Commodore Amiga." I was like, "Oh, right, okay." He says, "It's a 16-bit computer." He says, "It's like yours." He says, "Oh, right, okay." And he showed me some Red Sector demos. He showed me Pac-Mania, and it was in full screen with all the audio. And he showed me Psygnosis Menace. And I was absolutely blown away and gutted at the same time, because I was like, because audio was always quite important to me with games. It had to have good audio. A bit like how you had Spectrum, Amstrad, C64. C64 always had better audio. You'll get arguments there, but let's be honest here. The C64 SID chip is awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted an Amiga. Managed to find a buyer for my ST. I asked my dad if that was okay, if I could use the money to buy an Amiga. I think I sold a few other bits and pieces and saved up pocket money and things like that, and then finally got an Amiga. But I think even then it was still second hand. It wasn't brand new.
Your channel is quite well polished, it looks like, in terms of the video effects and all the different sounds and the music you have in the background and the way you do transitioning. It doesn't look like an amateurish channel. It looks like you've spent considerable time and effort focusing on the production value, to me, on
thank you,
on the way it looks, with all the, like I say, the graphics and the animations and the multiple screens and all that stuff.
And welcome to my YouTube channel, Bapstarcade, where I cover anything from the Spectrum, the Amiga, the Atari, the Commodore 64. I also cover consoles like the GameCube, Nintendo Wii, Dreamcast, PC Engine, Mega Drive, Xbox, Super Nintendo, N64. I even do videos on the Oculus, Quest 2. I do unboxing, Kickstarters, modern PC modern retro titles. I'm also a huge fan of the Speccy Next. I also plan to do more community stuff, some reviews and information regarding retro magazines, new retro magazines like Crash. I also plan to do some pickups from various gaming shops and some retro gaming shop tours. And sometimes I get my son to help me.
Hello, humans.
So if you're into the retro scene, modern retro scene, gaming scene, then give my channel a chance and I'll catch you in the next video.
So I'm guessing you probably enjoy that aspect of making videos, making it look and sound as good as you can.
Yeah, if I'm honest, that's probably the most important thing to me. I've always been a big fan of movies and how they're cut and how they sound, and that's what I wanted to be good at. Because I started doing bits of video editing at an early age when I was 15, just using video cameras and swapping tapes and the proper old school way of doing it. That's my approach to my videos now. So I don't use any modern software. It's all old software, but done it in a practical way, to make it look as though I am using modern software, if that makes sense.
You're not using modern software?
No.
Oh.
No.
It looks like you are.
Well, that's pleasing to hear. So I'm obviously doing a good job there. But no, I don't use what I'd like to use what normal the modern software that people use, which is normally is it Adobe?
Probably. I don't use any particular fancy software myself. I just get it recorded.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
I use OBS for a lot of stuff. Even green screening things I use OBS for, because it's such a good tool.
Oh, you do green screen as well for your channel?
Some green screen, yeah. If I can fit it in. I haven't got a green screen, but I can use OBS Studio to mock it in certain situations. There's certain things I can't do with the software I use because it's limited. But yeah, I just use what I can really, and what's free, and obviously without. I try to create everything, all my animations and things. I try to create myself using whatever means I can. I don't want to grab anything off anybody else.
Yeah.
And use that. Because that's what I enjoy doing. I mean, I might spend a day just doing little simple animations and things like that. I mean, there's lots of websites out there to help you, and to make it a lot quicker. But
did you design your logo yourself with the bee and the little guy at the arcade machine? Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's basically just a letter B. I found, as you can see, I found some artwork for a little guy with the arcade, and then I just ran it through a couple of art programs, added the glowing effects, and I thought, that'll do.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's very recognizable. I think it's a good brand. Like, it's something I think people would recognize. I recognize it because when I'm making my YouTube channel and my logo, mine's just a joystick. I thought that's good enough. A joystick, people can recognize a joystick.
Yeah, the SpriteWorks logo. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
But how many logos do you really remember what they look like? Like for me, I could remember very few. Like yours is one logo that I could tell people what it looked like if they just asked me what, YouTube logos do you remember. Yours and Retro Robbins, I think, is very distinctive as well with the colors and the pattern he has. But most I probably wouldn't remember. So
I suppose, I mean, I went through quite a few different logos before I chose one. But I suppose the one logo I thought about, well, they're normally simple. It's like the McDonald's logo. It's just an M, isn't it?
right.
But everybody recognizes that.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'll just use a B.
Yeah.
It's part of my name. It's part of my nickname. So yeah. It looked okay.
You got the B and the arcade machine.
That's it.
Arcade right there.
Bapstarcade. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I suppose I could put a star somewhere.
There you go, evolving your logo. So when you post a new video, do you advertise that in any Facebook groups or anywhere? I don't think I remember seeing any ads for your videos come up anywhere in my feed.
That's a difficult one, that is.
Is it?
It is, and you may understand this being a YouTuber yourself. So I try to share on Twitch. Sorry, not Twitch. I do advertise on Twitch. I try to share on Twitter, but I don't tend to get much notifications with Twitter. Facebook seems to be the main one. So I've joined certain groups. You've got Clive's Retro Bar. You've got Retrogasm. Because I get friends with certain people in the community as well, so you build up those relationships. I'm in Wayne Retro Robbins' group. He lets me post my videos on there, and I'll share his videos. So I think that's the way to do it, really, because some sites you join the groups, and if you're constantly spamming with videos, and you're not interacting with those groups, I think they get a little bit annoyed with you, and they just think that you're just trying to sell your channel, which, let's face it, you are, but you're also trying to contribute to the community. Because I try to make sure that my channel is contributing to the whole retro and gaming community. That's one of my focuses. But there's a lot of channel. I had believe it or not, I had problems with the official Spectrum Next channels to start with.
Problems with them?
Well, I was just posting videos, and they didn't like it. They'd just get blocked, or your video has been removed, and I'd be like, I don't quite understand this. I've done a video. I haven't posted a video on the Amiga in the Spectrum Next channel. I've posted a video on the Spectrum Next. Hello humans, and welcome to Bapstarcade, and today we're going to be looking at the brand new version of Next Launcher, the Next Launcher Ultimate Edition. So stay with me and I'll see you in a bit. And I think it's down to admin power, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not contributing into the channel with answering questions and talking and, commenting on things, then if you're just spamming videos, I get it. They're just thinking, oh, he's just trying to sell his channel. We're not interested. But my argument was the Spectrum Next isn't available in the shops. You can't just go out and buy one. I'm advertising this. This is what the Spectrum Next can do. People watch the video, they might think, oh, you know what, I like that, I want to buy one of those. If another Kickstarter comes out, I might want to get that Kickstarter. That's the way I look at it. Luckily, over in the UK, we have lots of events and stuff, and I can meet people in person.
Right, and I want to ask you about those events a bit later.
Yeah,
well, so you're not advertising your Do you still advertise your videos in any groups? Have you gone back to the next group or any other groups?
Yes, but I'm just careful on how many videos I do post
Yeah.
in those particular channels. If it's next focus, then I will look for the groups, next Spectrum Next Games or the official Next channel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it helps when you do go to these events, you meet certain people, you get friendly with these people, and then all of a sudden you build up this rapport, and you can post your videos.
Right.
I suppose it's a bit of a sneaky way of doing it, but I don't think there's any harm in it, because at the end of the day, I'm contributing to the community, and I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I'm generally interested in everybody who's in the community. But if that's the only way I can post my videos to get it out there,
Yeah.
then it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Really, it really is.
Well, one thing I noticed about your videos, and because I'm sure you've noticed, just as I've noticed, there's a ton of people posting links to their videos, which are essentially just gameplay videos. You're watching somebody play Manic Miner or whatever for the 1000th time. It's like, okay, what is that contributing to the community? We know what Manic Miner looks like, for example, right? But your videos, two things I notice about them which appeal to me, which is one thing, you seem to not focus on yourself. You know, unless it's a video where you're actually doing something, going somewhere, whatever, then obviously you're going to be in the video.
Yeah.
But a lot of your videos, it seems like you make an effort to focus on someone else, something else.
So let's have a look at the crash cover tape. As per usual, fantastic printed case. Christmas design, all the snow on the top of the crash logo there. That's pretty awesome. On side A, we've got Castle Escape, which is a full game. We've also got Super Hair Crash Christmas Edition. And as usual, the cover mount credits, Wayne Robbins, cover mount editor, Oliver Frey, cover mount art, Jason McKenzie, inlay design, and the duplication, obviously Chris Wilkins as the executive producer. Hello and welcome to Bapstarcade again, and today I'm going to be having a look and previewing this controller, 2-button controller that Ricky from You Make Robots sent me. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll catch you in a bit.
You do an interview
100%.
with someone, you're focusing on them, you're promoting someone else's YouTube channel, you're promoting something that I think you feel will help the community. Like, for example, that simple video showing how to install an inline switch for the Spectrum Next.
So this cable comes with the female connector on that side, click switch, and your male connector on there, and then that just fits into the power connector, and then the other end you connect the power like that.
Like, who doesn't want that? It's a simple thing, but still it's very useful for people. And so it seems to me, if you're making content where people in the community would be interested in, then why wouldn't that be welcomed in the groups for those particular systems? I mean, I'm sure none of us are making money off of our YouTube videos. We're not going to retire on our YouTube income. Like, for me, I'm not earning hardly anything, and probably you're the same, I'm guessing. I don't know, but
no,
that's not why we do it, right? So,
no, I've got a full-time job. I do this as a hobby, and it's something that I was doing anyway before I even started a YouTube channel. So I'm not doing anything different apart from editing.
right. And it takes a long time to make these videos. So if we're spending, let's say I'm sure your videos with your production quality, they must take some time to produce and edit and get them all together. and I don't know if you might even be making scripts ahead of time or whatever, I don't know, but the amount of effort that goes into it, and you're willing to offer that essentially free of charge for people to consume and absorb, you know, why wouldn't that be welcome as long as it's relevant, I think, to the group. So I would like to see your videos posted in more places. And I kind of feel the same way with my videos. I find that there sometimes are several different groups that might be relevant to the video that I make, and probably the same with you, I'm sure. And you might get the feeling, well, you know, if I post in 7, 8 different groups, that's seems kind of spammy, but then maybe somebody in those 7, 8 different groups doesn't belong to the other 6 or 7 groups. And from that post, they might get to see your video where they might otherwise not have even known about you. So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, but at the same time, I think I would prefer to see people posting relevant videos with something new. And your content is one thing about your content, it's always fresh, it's always new. We're not going to watch you playing a game that 1,000 other people have played unless there's, from what I've seen, some fresh take on it that makes it interesting, I think.
Hello and welcome to Bapstarcade again, and today I'm with my son Hayden.
Hello.
And we are going to be testing out a game called Polybius Invaders.
And especially your videos that you do. And I'm actually just I want to pop quickly to your channel here, because one other thing I like about your channel is you actually have playlists that you created that I think is really useful for people to help find videos of different categories on your channel. But you have a ton of playlists, so I'm just gonna quickly go through these playlists, and just to give an example of what kind of content you're providing. So there's retro gaming podcast clips, indie games, reviews, ZX Retro wireless and launcher hardware, and something that's cut off, maybe software, arcades, modern retro, gaming events, fun stuff, monthly series, introduction to Bapstarcade. That, I guess, is just maybe like promo videos you were playing around with. I don't know.
It's just the intro.
The intro, yeah, which is pretty cool to watch, actually. Even those things, which maybe you just did for yourself, I don't know, just to record them, but other people who are making YouTube videos probably would get some cool ideas how to make intro videos, right? Gaming shorts, how to, unboxing, other systems, next gen, VR, Commodore 64/Amiga, and Spectrum 48, 128, next, and go. That's a ton of different content, all nicely categorized there. So you would think people would want to be aware of this stuff, right? I guess this is also, I'm guessing, maybe a kind of a double-edged sword as well, because since you cover so many different topics, you're not really, your niche isn't really focused to one particular machine or one particular even genre or time in history in terms of retro versus modern, because you do very modern games, you do retro games, you do modern versions of retro games, modern systems, you do pretty much anything to do with video games, it seems like, from what I can tell. Is there anything you don't do?
Repairs.
Okay.
Because I'm terrible at it. I'll get Wayne Retro Robbins to do that for me.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Okay, so you don't, and do you have a Patreon or any way to actually make money from this? It seems like, other than, you know, asking people to maybe like your videos or whatever, you're not asking for money or anything. You're just
no. I'd like a Patreon scheme to maybe to use as like a little savings bank, so I can improve like kit that I've got, maybe I don't know, better camera or better microphone, that kind of stuff. But at the moment, because I feel as though my sub level's still low in comparison to quite a lot of the YouTubers out there, I think I'd feel a little bit silly doing a Patreon scheme. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, that's something to think about. I mean, I found a site. Are you aware of a site called Coffee? KO-FI. I think that's another little, like another little site for tipping. So it'd be nice. It'd be nice. But to be honest, I I actually prefer like comments that you've just made on in this interview, and you've noticed the work that I put into the production side of it and the creativity side of it. That for me is better than that. You know, that kind of praise is better than any kind of Patreon scheme for me personally. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for making these videos. I mean, it takes a lot of work. Obviously, anyone making videos knows that. I did notice something actually just yesterday in watching. Actually, I don't remember where I saw it. Somewhere on your YouTube channel, there was a comment somewhere from you that said something to the effect of, "I'm considering maybe getting involved with Patreon, maybe starting a Patreon link. What do you guys think of that?" Well,
Yeah, nobody commented.
I didn't see any feedback, so I'm going to comment right now. So I have two points of view about things like Patreon, and it could be coffee or whatever. But for me personally, there's a positive side to it and maybe less positive side to it. The positive side to it is that it gives people who want to contribute to you a chance to do that. Right? They don't have to sign their life away and give you their firstborn, right? If they want to buy you a coffee, they buy you a coffee, right? They have at least some outlet to do that. And that also gives you, like, if you're not expecting to get rich off it, of course, but maybe it will let you buy that next microphone, that next camera, the next game, whatever you're going to feature on your channel. And so if you find that helpful, and your viewers would find that helpful, just to have some easy outlet to be able to contribute to you if they want, then I don't see why not, unless maybe you don't want to go to the trouble of it, and maybe the administrative stuff that goes along with having that income and setting up the financial side of it, maybe not worth it for the amount of money we might get, depending on how many contributors you get. And then the other side of it as well, which kind of links to that, is that once you do have subscribers and people donating to you regularly, particularly with something like Patreon, then there's a temptation to feel, I think, a bit of an obligation to them to maybe be creating content when you maybe don't feel like creating content, to maybe creating content that's tailored to your subscribers that they're expecting, which maybe you're not particularly focused on that at the time. And so you might have a feeling of an obligation to them, and you think, well, I'm only getting $20 a month from my Patreon. Why am I having to go out of my way to tailor my content and my schedule to these people? Why not? Why it's not worth it for me? Why should I do that?
Yeah.
So maybe the coffee thing is better if it's like a one-time donation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I'm going to look into, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So for me, I would suggest you maybe look into it if you're at all interested and you think the extra bit of income might be worthwhile. And another comment I'd like to make about that is, I think when people do contribute to content creators like yourself, like myself, like TJ or Retro Robbins or whoever, I don't think that the creators should necessarily feel obliged to cater to their audience, because it's the audience supporting what you do. They like what you do, and it's kind of a random thing. Okay, I'm not sure what your next video is going to be, but whatever it is, I'm going to contribute to it and see what you produce. And so I think it should be kind of, you should be left to have your creativity to do what your passion is. So that's the one thing. At the one hand, it might be good to have a bit of income. On the other hand, if it ends up stifling your creativity, maybe not so much. So I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. That's just my feedback.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, you've certainly given me something to think about there.
Well, I like giving feedback, whether it's welcomed or not.
Yeah. No, all feedback is welcome, even if it's bad feedback.
Okay. Constructive feedback. There's no bad feedback.
Well, even with with trolling, I'll just say, okay, thank you very much for your comments.
And I actually saw you mention that before sometime. I don't know if it was in your interview with TJ or somebody. I forget where I saw it, but you did mention something. I think that exact same comment, when you get negative feedback or whatever, you just say, yeah, thanks for your comment, have a nice day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not as generous as you in thanking them. Even I just kind of don't give it any attention whatsoever. But I don't think it's good to have that in the community, particularly with people like yourself. You're not, obviously you're not producing videos to make money. You're not trying to get anything out of it. You don't have any affiliate links. You don't even have a Patreon account. You're doing it purely for passion, to give something back to the community. So how would that generate a negative comment anyway? So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned in one of your videos, and I have to apologize, I forget which video I get these different comments from, but you mentioned something to the effect of, you were having a conversation with someone on the video, and you were saying something to the effect that you consider yourself an introvert and you're not really normally outgoing, something like that. Was that true, or is it still true, or did I get that wrong?
Yeah, that is true. I think a lot of us are introverts, but I think we can build up almost like a cloak to hide behind. I think it's down to the kind of people that you're with as well. So, for instance, if I walked into, I don't know, a pub full of people, I don't know, football supporters, I'd be the guy sat in the corner, not speaking to anybody. You put me in a retro event or a games event where it's something I'm interested in, then I come alive. But I have always considered myself as an introvert. To film myself was the most difficult thing. I still struggle doing, because I do very little live content, which is something I want to start doing as I've built my confidence up. So, but I still, there's no way that I would consider myself as an extrovert.
Yeah, it seems like just a matter of being in your element where you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you find you have to push yourself to make videos, or particularly now you've started, well, I guess it's been going a while now, you've had a good old Natter series where you interview people like we're doing now?
Yeah. So if you had a time machine, where would you go? Richard Faulkner, a man in his techno shed.
Yeah, I was like, no way!
How you doing, Richard? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate.
Absolutely.
Well, if I had a time machine, there's a few places I'll trip back to.
She's the original star map.
Live long and play longer.
That you would think is not something an introvert would normally do, trying to bring someone else out and answer questions for you. But
yeah,
there you're doing it.
Maybe I've always considered myself an introvert, and then as time's gone by, because I've been doing YouTube now for I think 2 years, so maybe I've got to that stage now where I'm comfortable with talking to people online. I tell you something. I think if there's any positives out of the whole pandemic, I think that was one of them, because this is how we were talking to our friends, wasn't it, and family?
Right.
So maybe that helped.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I can say to people is, if you don't like being in front of a camera, because I certainly don't. I'm still not a fan of looking at myself and being in front of a camera. I think it's just over time. Keep doing it, keep plugging away, and see what happens.
Well, it looks like you look comfortable on camera to me. So whatever you're doing in the background there
okay.
seems to be working.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It might be because I've switched to decaf coffee as well.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, I was drinking so much coffee. I was probably drinking about 10 cups a day.
Oh, wow.
2 teaspoons of coffee, a lot of caffeine. So I've switched to decaf now.
Does it help your game playing, or are you slower
No, it's
on
made
the
it,
controller?
no, it's made it worse. It's made it worse, hasn't it? Because caffeine helps with the Twitch responses.
Yeah, exactly. I would think so.
Plus, there's age as well. That's not getting any younger.
Yeah, none of us are, unfortunately. Maybe in our mind we are. I don't know.
Yeah.
The people that you interview, for the most part, have you met them before, either in person or virtually, or is sometimes when you're interviewing these people, the first time you're actually meeting them, like now, this is the first time that we've actually spoken?
That's a good question. To make it, I suppose this comes back to the introvert part again as well. To make it easier for me to feel more comfortable with the person I was interviewing at the time, it was people I'd already met. With an exception of the first video that I did, and that was with Richard Sherman.
Right.
And I think the reason why that came about is because Richard was watching my videos and he was working on some software called the Next Launcher way back in its infancy, like version 6 or 7, way back then. And he liked what I was doing, and he asked me to make a video for him to preview it. And I was absolutely over the moon with that. I was like, oh wow, somebody wants me to make this for them. So that's what I did. I made a video for him. I had some good constructive feedback from it. Got the video out there, and people watched it. He liked it, and he then asked me if I wanted to join his little group on the beta testing stage of it, so I could beta test the software for the Next. And that for me was like, this is amazing. It was almost like I've won the lottery here. This is what I wanted to do. This is how I can contribute even more in the community. And because the Spectrum Next was a new system, and there weren't many people doing videos on the Spectrum Next, I was thinking that's great. That's another way in. So after that, it was people I'd just met. I mean, Richard, trying to think now, the people I've interviewed. Richard Faulkner, lovely guy, absolute lovely guy. I met him at the Retro Computer Museum in Leicester.
Okay.
So I'd already met him, and I asked him, "Can I interview you?" Because I found out what he was into, so I interviewed him. There was a guy called Mindwipe, who I'd met from the Elite Dangerous community. Actually, I'd never met him in person. I'd seen him at the events and spoke to him online, and I'd spoke to him in game. So that was another way of getting somebody else to. So I started off quite easy.
Is he the one that does your music for your videos? The first couple of videos, the intro music, which is a remix of Gods on the Amiga. I asked him, could I use that tune? And he says, yeah, no worries. I always wanted to use people's, if I was going to use somebody's material, I always ask. But I like to ask people who are in the community, the forgotten people, the people who were in the community before it was a thing. And now I use a lot of music from Richard Faulkner. He allows me to use a lot of his music because he's again, great musician,
writes a lot of music on the Spectrum Next, a lot of games. He's got a lot of projects on the go, including one
busy guy.
project, that I'm also part of.
Have you met
So-
the Spectrum Next team, the people in the development team for the Next? Have you by now gotten a chance to interact with most of them?
Not all of them. I've seen them all. I saw them all at Crash last
Okay.
year. Jim Bagley, I see on a regular basis at again Retro Computer Museum in Leicester.
Okay.
I've asked him for an interview actually. That's
Oh.
that one's pending.
Oh, that'll be good.
That one's pending, so I'm looking forward to that. The thing is with Jim, I want to come up with questions that nobody's asked him, because everybody asks him the same questions, and it's always to do with Cabal, Midnight Resistance, and basically his top tier games. Which, yeah, I'm sure he'd love to talk about those, but I don't want those to be the focus of my interview. I want to know what he's doing now. I want to know what his other interests are. So that's that one's pending. Tim, I've met Tim. Tim's a lovely guy. Again, I've met him at a few of the events. Mike, I'm going to completely destroy his name again. Mike Cadwalder or
Cadwalla, yeah, the
Cadwalder.
one that TJ always screws up. Cadwalder.
And I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. Yeah.
You
Again,
should do an interview with him so we can learn how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea, isn't he? But yeah, I met him, and he kindly gave me a Spectrum Next power bank.
Oh, nice.
And
Are they giving those out at the show or selling them?
Yeah, and
at
a
the show?
USB key. So
Oh, cool. Is that just blank or is there something on there?
I've actually backed all my Spectrum Next software on that. So
Oh, nice. Can you can't plug a USB into the Next though, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's just a PC backup just in case.
Yeah.
My
Do you use your
SD.
Next frequently? Do you have it set up?
I did
Your-
have it's my Next boxed up at the moment.
Boxed up.
Yeah, and that's
Maybe I
only
shouldn't run that part on my video.
That's I know, yeah. It's only boxed up because I've currently got my Engo.
Oh, right.
So I
Oh.
3D printed that.
What, the badge?
Yeah,
Can I see it again?
cut all the ports out badly.
Oh, you printed, what did you print?
Just the Engo logo. So I
Okay.
3D printed that. That's 3D printed.
And you modified the case? for the
Yeah,
ports?
one
Okay.
one on the front.
Oh,
That's
nice.
got a dual SD card
Okay. Nice.
slot.
Do they pop in, pop out?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So they're sprung loaded. They're from a company called Active Consultants.
Right. I've ordered some
Um,
stuff from them, yeah. So that Engo board, did you have to put on that? I guess you had to put on that dual SD card reader yourself. It doesn't come like that, does it?
No, there's a header on the board itself that you just plug in.
Oh,
So there's a pin header that you just
Okay.
literally plug it in. You
solder it.
No, there's no soldering involved.
Oh, so does it
No
come with an
soldering
SD card reader or just a header?
It comes with an SD card reader, but that's where it'd be here. It'd be there. So it's still there.
Okay.
It's still there. But as soon as you plug that header in, it disables it.
Oh,
So then you get the two. So that's your main one.
can I see
then
that?
you-
It's below the camera there.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No worries.
So
Or at least below my camera. Oh,
let's get let's get the
okay, yeah,
angle.
right.
There we go. So I'll put a little it comes with a little activity light. So I've just
Okay.
drilled a little hole there, bit of glue,
Okay, cool.
added power light there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So yeah, it's the only thing I will say is let's get the camera right.
Yeah.
The HDMI port there. If you're using a Plus Spectrum Plus case to make sure that you put some padding. So you put some padding on top of the
Connector?
HDMI port. Yeah, just on the
Mhm.
port.
Okay.
So it touches the case, so it holds it down. Because if you don't, once you've plugged your HDMI cable in, you get that kind of bending effect,
Oh,
and it
okay.
can rip it off the board. You won't get that with a normal Spectrum Next as much, or if you buy the original case, because it slightly protrudes. Trying to get the camera right here. It slightly protrudes the case, so it's got something to rest on.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my first Engo board, I actually damaged, so I had to send it back to Spain.
Oh, wow.
And he kindly swapped it over for me.
Oh, nice. Is that the Plus case you're talking about there that needs the padding?
That's the Spectrum Plus case, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that board obviously doesn't come in a case, right? You have
No.
to find your own case.
Yep.
To put
Yeah,
it in.
so I had a spare case.
And
luckily.
if you do supply your own case, is it a problem to position it in such a way you can still access the SD card? Can you run a header to the case to install an SD card reader wherever you want? Or do you have to make sure your case lines up with those headers on the board?
I just found that to be it's a bit Frankenstein, to be honest. That's not. You could probably have on the camera. You could probably have that reader really should be inside the case.
Yeah.
But with this particular Plus case, there wasn't enough clearance, there wasn't enough room, so it had to protrude.
And you added those switches on the side yourself, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's just a wire. Again, that's just another wiring loom that you can buy from Active Consultants.
Okay, yeah.
With the buttons already on there, which are exactly the same as the Spectrum Next one. So you got your reset button. You've got the extra menu button and the drive select button.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. But you have an actual Next and you have the Ngo as well.
Yeah.
And do you find that they work exactly the same, or have you found any differences between them at all?
The reason why I bought the Ngo is because of the HDMI and Wi-Fi interference with sound.
Right. Okay.
So I was getting a lot of issues while I was recording Next video.
Okay.
Input footage. It's not a major thing. I mean, you've seen the Next, haven't you?
I have one, yeah.
Yeah, you've got one, yeah. So I don't need to show you the Next.
I'm pretty sure the viewers have seen one too, and if they haven't, they should. Then shame on them.
Yeah. But the Ngo, it comes with one meg of memory already soldered to the board.
Okay.
So there's no upgrade slots like you get with the Kickstarter one, where you just add the slots to put your extra memory in there to make it up to 1 meg.
Can you upgrade it to 2 meg?
2 meg? No, sorry, 2 meg. I'm thinking about Amigas here. Yeah, 2 meg. Yeah, 2 meg. So the Ngo's got 2 meg already built in.
Okay.
And it's also got the revision, the board revision that the Kickstarter 2 should have to stop the interference. I still had to buy a Raspberry Pi Zero, a Wi-Fi module. So they're all they're all in there. So it's fully kitted out. But I just tend to use a PS2 keyboard.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what I use when I'm using my Ngo.
Yeah.
I've got I don't know if you use the same. Got a splitter cable.
Yeah.
So it's PS2 splitter cable
for the mouse.
Yeah, with a good old. It's a ball mouse as well. PS2
ball mouse.
Yeah.
Doesn't get more retro than that.
That's it.
Okay, so the Ngo is kind of like an enhanced or fixed version of the Kickstarter 1 version of the Next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if people were wanting to get a Next,
Get an Engo.
then
Absolutely.
technically it's functionally probably the Engo would be better right now, unless
Yeah.
you're talking about comparing it to the Kickstarter 2 version, which I presume would have those issues fixed.
Yeah, it's supposed to all be fixed. So yeah, it's a good way of getting into the Spectrum Next, because if you've got an old Spectrum, because it will fit into a rubber keyed Speccy as well.
Yeah.
The board will, so you could use it for that. If you've got if you've got an old Plus lying around, you could use it for that.
You mean like the original 48K rubber keyed?
Yeah, the board fits into there as well.
Would you need to modify the case for the?
Yeah, you'd have to modify it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. There's no way around that.
Because the original 48K Spectrum, I guess, didn't have an opening for an SD card reader and HDMI port and all that.
Yeah, which is what I had to do with that one badly.
I'm assuming in your collection there you must have some rubber keyed versions of Speccies.
Yes, I've got a 48K that's boxed up, but I've also got this restored one.
Oh, cool.
So it's got a brand new plate on it, as you can see, orange plate.
Yeah.
New key set, brand new membrane.
But the case itself is original?
The case itself is original. Got some new feet on there. And while I was practicing my soldering skills, Wayne helped me solder it up. So it's all been recapped as well.
Oh, nice. And what's inside that thing? A 16K?
No, that's the 48K.
Okay.
Yes.
And those parts, are they from ZX Renew? Is that?
Oh, I think so. Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ZX Renew, yeah.
I've seen retro Robbins, Wayne's. I'm assuming it's a 48K that he's got the multicolored keys on there. That looks pretty cool.
Oh, the LED ones.
Yeah, the LED ones.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, so an Harlequin.
So that's the Harlequin kit, which I've soldered the keyboard up, which is
The
LEDs.
rainbow, yeah.
I can actually show you that, because as it happens, that is the actual board, which you can get from Ben.
Oh, it's a Zilux one. Okay, I have one to build from Peter, from ZX Renew.
Well, anytime you want me to build it for you, I can do that for you.
Okay.
Right? I won't charge you anything.
Okay.
So don't worry about that. As you can see, they're really, really tiny components, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that's basically what's in there.
That if I can,
Why don't you get him to solder one up for you?
if I can get hold of a broken Speccy and get it recapped.
Yeah.
He also did the composite mod on this for me as well.
Oh.
So
Okay.
so normally it's RF
Yeah.
PAL, and he's done the composite mod on there, so I can put it straight to composite TV. So obviously you get a better picture.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Because I'm guessing you guys over there, you're not PAL, are you? NTSC,
No, we're
aren't you?
NTSC. Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that bad picture.
Well, we have RF, so it's still pretty bad.
Well, yeah.
So, do you have an Omni as well?
No. I do like the Omnis, the little laptop
Yeah, they look
versions
cool.
with the little screens. They look so cool. Yeah.
I think I was telling Wayne that if they were to create an Omni that has his LED colored, multicolored keys combined with the built-in video screen, that would be pretty much the ultimate. And it's a 128K with an SD card reader as well, right? So you got everything, I think.
Yeah, and just take it with you, and
Yeah.
away you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's battery powered too, right?
And it's battery powered, yeah. Incredible.
Cool. So what other YouTube channels are you involved with? I think you have several YouTube channels yourself, right? You have the is that many?
Oh, blimey. Yeah. So I'm not busy enough just with Bapstarcade. So I've also got so starting from the beginning, because Spectrum Next started to become more of a focus, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a dedicated channel. So I've got a dedicated channel for Spectrum Next, which is literally just gameplay. It's just quick, short videos, just to show people this is what's being produced for the Spectrum Next.
And what's the name of that channel?
That's called What's Next.
What's Next, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's YouTube / What's Next 128.
Okay.
So that's
128.
literally
Is 128 representative of 128K, or is just the name YouTube gave you?
no, that's representative. Just to tie it with the Speccy 128. But that is just dedicated for Spectrum Next. Everything that comes out for that.
So would you include other types of videos besides gameplay on that channel, like if you did an unboxing or the Switch edition? No. Why?
It's just purely for that.
Oh.
If I was doing any unboxing or anything that involves me on the camera, that will go to Bapstarcade.
Okay.
The whole point of that was just short videos. The only video on the What's Next channel with me included was a cut down version of a competition that I ran to win a new demo for a game I'm involved in called TX 1696 for the Spectrum Next. So that's the only one on there that involves me. There was a C-Spec tutorial video that I did, which is on Bapstarcade, but then again, I cut it down, added some other elements to it, so I'm not on the camera, and that was for just the What's Next channel.
Is that the criteria for getting on that channel? You're not allowed to be on the camera?
That was what it was at first. I was going to try and create this channel that nobody knew that it was me. It was just a channel. It was just a What's Next channel for the Spectrum Next. Nobody knew it was me. It was just another channel, and it's done quite well, to be honest. The growth of that was faster than my Bapstarcade one, which is absolutely bizarre. So there's, sorry, I'm all tangled up here. So that's that channel. I've also got, again, because I started doing podcasts, I stopped doing those on Bapstarcade and created a good old Natter with channel.
By podcast, you mean your interviews?
Yeah, my interviews, yeah. So that's a dedicated channel now called A Good Old Natter with.
Okay.
There's also a Commander Bapsta channel out there, which was to do with my Elite Dangerous, which is no longer, I no longer add any content to that. But I also got involved with a podcast channel called Monkey Nut Punch, and they had me on there as a guest a few times talking about games, TV programs, and movies, basically.
Okay.
And I was an avid listener, and then they invited me to their gaming channel only called Gaming Face Punch.
All right.
So I'm now part of that. So there's three of us. There's myself, Gareth, and Nigel. And
So you're actually part of the team now. You contribute to making the videos on a regular basis. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I provide the retro scene and the indie news and the any mods for old games, that kind of stuff. So I provide the stories for that. And the other two guys, Gareth and Nigel, they look at the trending stories within the gaming industry as a whole. It's mainly modern gaming.
All right.
So I add that mix for the retro side of it, and then that gets published onto Spotify as a podcast and onto YouTube, and what's the other one called? Is it Podbeam or something? Podbeam, I think it is. And then Gareth will chop up the elements that I've added. He'll send them to me, and then I'll re-edit them, and then I'll publish those onto BAPSTARCADE. So we all get something out of it. And it actually helps me with producing even more content.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, busy.
Yeah, you're busy, all right.
Only it's about 9 million degrees in this office at the moment with all the tech on.
I think you need to get yourself a Patreon so you can buy a little fan with the proceeds.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be the first one then.
Okay, well, we'll push forward then, and my office gets like an oven when I close the door, so I'm leaving it open. So I saw a video, actually 3 videos that I'm sure you're going to remember from your channel, where you built a cool looking little multi-game arcade table.
So let's build a multi-game arcade table. So here's the table that we're going to be using. That's a knife.
This is not a knife. Now this is a knife. This is what we used on Predator. It's just a little larger than yours.
Take the table very carefully. Holes for the 2 buttons for start and select. Drill some pilot holes. Take that off. Get rid of all the insides, all the bits of sawdust. Give that a good clean, give it a good shake, get rid of any excess, and then we can get rid of the templates and the masking tape. Okay, so that's both joysticks fitted in. So now we need to insert the buttons. Just rub out some of the pencil marks and lines that I've drawn. So as I said before, these buttons are for the start and select buttons. There we go. Do the other side for player 2, which is red. And this is where we need to wire up the buttons to the controller. And there's 4 pins on these switches. We've got 2 pins, black and red, for the micro switch, the actual button itself, and then there's 2 other pins, the positive and negative, for the lights. Quick test, all working. other side. A couple of cable ties, and that's ready now to be inserted into the Raspberry Pi. So there we go, that's fastened to the board, and now we could insert Play 1 USB into the top one closest to the Cat 5 connector, and then Player 2 just underneath. And now we can connect the HDMI cable and the micro USB. So our first job is to cover up these screws and then attach the red ball for the joystick. So now we need to head over onto the computer, and we need a micro SD card and a card reader. Ah, yes,
I
okay.
think you mentioned somewhere that you maybe used to sell them.
Mhm.
Where did you get the idea? Oh, that's it right behind you, isn't it?
There's one behind me, yeah.
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 With the glowing lights. So yeah, that looked really cool. Did that get a positive response in your YouTube for wherever you had, created content about building that thing?
I don't think it did, honestly.
No, it looks like something people would find interesting.
I thought so. I thought so. I think it's because there's a lot of arcade purists out there, which I totally get, because you cannot beat the feeling of being stood at a real arcade machine playing a game, and I totally get that. But yeah, I think I got the idea. I think I got the idea from somewhere where they said they were going to IKEA and they got these coffee tables really cheap.
And when you say arcade purist, sorry to cut you off, do you mean that
no, it's fine.
these purists would want an actual real arcade cabinet? Because I know
Yes.
people build their own, new versions of stand-up cabinets. Would that qualify or not for these purists?
I think as long as the controls are to arcade spec and the boards themselves are there with the actual, so it's the actual one game board.
Okay.
The original CRTs, they're the ones that qualify.
So maybe I could ask you, if you don't mind, for people who maybe haven't seen your videos, to just describe what the hell we're talking about here. It's
Okay.
It's like an arcade joystick. How would you describe it?
So all that is basically is a Raspberry Pi. So it's a Raspberry Pi. I think there's it's a version 3 in that one behind me. So it's a Raspberry Pi. It's got a SD card in there. It's running software called RetroPie.
Okay.
There's different emulators on there, all configured, with all the ROMs on there. That one behind me is mainly arcade focused. It's a 2-player system. So you've got your 2 joysticks, you've got 6 buttons each. They're all LED lit. You've got 2 buttons on the front and there's a button on the side. So they're mainly so you can control the menu system without having to plug any additional keyboards or joysticks in to use the control system.
What's the button on the side do?
So you've got a coin option, you've got a start, you've got
Okay.
select, and then you've got a reset. And then on the back of there, you've got HDMI out and just your power.
And did you
to
figure out
power
how
it
to
up.
build this yourself, or did you follow a plan from something?
It was I just pretty much did it myself.
Yeah.
It was the button layout. I found a template online for. Um, that one hasn't got a built-in screen. I've also made one with a built-in screen.
Oh,
Um, that was a little bit more complicated to build because I had to buy perspex to put over the top.
Mm.
I didn't have the money at the time to buy a graphic, so I found a Space Invaders poster. I cut that out,
okay.
glued it all on, and then with the perspex on, you couldn't tell.
Okay.
So I cheated with that one, but it did the job, and I actually took that one to LiveCon. There was a stand up arcade machine that I built, same kind of, but that used again TFT monitor, arcade controls, but that was wired with a box that I bought off eBay. And what somebody had done was they turned a PS2 keyboard into just like a little black box with all the wires coming off it.
Okay.
And each wire was represented a number from the keyboard. So MAME understood that because it just thought that you were pressing a key on a keyboard. So left might have been 5, right might have been 6, and so on, and your buttons. And that was connected up to a mini shuttle PC running Windows XP, I think it was. But that's on my Facebook channel. That is.
Did you make a video of that?
I don't know if there was a video of that. There's just photos of that.
Oh,
not sure. I'm not sure if there's a video on there. There might be with it running, but that was just MAME focused. So it was all your arcade ROMs. But again, I just made it for me because I wanted that stand up.
Yeah.
That stand up feel. And it was literally just made out of MDF, bits of old wood lying around. Yeah. It wasn't pretty, but it did the job.
And the table's an IKEA table or something?
Yeah, the table's an IKEA table. I think it was £10. And because they're so cheaply made, so you flip it upside down, cut out the bottom, and it's literally got corrugated cardboard in there for strength. That's all it is. So it's easy to scrape out and mount your buttons and your joystick. You've got to be quite delicate with it because if you put any pressure on any of the drill points or when you're mounting any of the buttons, you can split it quite easily. So it's very delicate, but it does the job.
So otherwise, their cheapness works in your favor to have a hollow table. You can shove all your controls in there. Yeah, that's it. And I had a question that I never understood. Maybe you know the answer since you're a gaming expert, especially compared to me. Why is it that when you have a joystick, let's say a standalone joystick, and I've seen you've done videos or at least one video about joysticks, testing different joysticks, I think with the Next, you would hold the joystick with your right hand and press a button with the thumb of your left hand, right?
Yeah.
That's normally. So
no. Yeah, so hold it with my left. Yeah.
You hold it, but the stick you manipulate with your right hand. Why is it?
Yeah.
Why is it reversed when it's a tabletop version? The stick is always on the left and the button's on the right.
You know what? I've asked myself this question. I've no idea.
But you built it that way.
Yeah.
And
because arcade machines are that way.
Yeah, something I never understood.
Yeah. So if you stand at an arcade machine, you always control it with your left hand, and your buttons are always on the right. But you're right. If you hold a zip stick, for instance.
And I think that's your favorite joystick you're bringing out, if I remember correctly. Right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You're right. I hold it with my left hand.
So I'm not sure if the video is going to be reversed when I publish this, but
yeah,
you are holding it with your. Well, just hold it the way you normally hold it, then we'll figure it out.
So there you go.
So that's your left hand you're holding the stick with, and you're manipulating it with your right hand.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's almost as though you become ambidextrous by playing video games.
I guess you would have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find you prefer one way or the other, like a joystick that you would hold in your hand versus a tabletop one, which is reversed layout?
I think it's. I've got to be some of these wires. Sorry.
Even more tangled than you were before.
Yeah. I think it's down to what games you're playing. There's arguments out there with different systems where, especially with the Spectrum Next now, I'm seeing new arguments being raised where they'll say, "Oh, do you play with a joystick or do you play with a gamepad?" Now, for me, a gamepad is still a relatively new concept, because it wasn't really until the days of PlayStation 1 and Saturn, Dreamcast, that's where you had your joypads. Whereas before then, so going back to your 8-bit machines, go way back to your Atari, Acetronic, those kind of things. Again, the joystick is actually the Atari joystick is a good example. Just bear with me 1 second.
Sure.
So maybe that's where it's come from. So the Atari joystick, your button is only on the left-hand side. So it'd be difficult to hold it with your left hand, and you'd be firing like that, wouldn't you?
Right.
Whereas you're holding it with you've got no choice. So straight away, you're holding it, and your thumb's already there. So maybe that's where it comes from. Because Atari was one of my first consoles.
That table that you built, you have the Raspberry Pi installed inside of it, which means obviously
That's correct.
You're going to use it, and then you connect it to an external monitor.
Yep.
So you're playing whatever games are installed in the Pi inside the table. Would it be an option to make that table strictly as a controller where you can connect it to a system, an external system? Like maybe if you put a system on the shelf underneath it, and then just strictly use it as a controller, so you can choose what system you'll want to use it with instead of
you would literally just need a device in between, say, USB and a device that you can connect it to whatever system that you wanted to. What device that is, I've no idea, but I know people have done it. People have created their own Kempston joysticks, haven't they?
Okay.
So in theory, you could wire it up to USB, and then from USB to a D pin, and then connect it that way. Maybe.
So the one that you built, are there plans available if people want to build that for themselves? Because you just kind of figured it out yourself, I think, right?
They'd have to watch the videos.
That's right. I saw, actually, while watching your videos, I was impressed how, when you watch videos of people building something, it always seems to go so quickly and easily. And yours seemed to appear as if you knew exactly what to do next. You drilled all the holes, you shoved everything in there, and there were a couple hiccups along the way where I forget, your battery died or whatever, but pretty much it just went together really smoothly. Was it anywhere close to as easy as the video portrays?
I made sure that I'd built a few first.
Oh,
because there was lots of issues where I was drilling, and I'd basically destroy the table. So I'd put my hand through it. I'm like, oh no, because there's no reinforcement. There's literally it is just literally corrugated card in there. They're so cheaply made, but they do the job, don't they? They're not meant to be that. they're not meant to be made for me to take the bottom out, to take it all out and turn it into a little arcade. But yeah, there was lots of mistakes where the buttons didn't line up and wires weren't fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
And
was.
you did
So
you
once I was
sell them?
confident, yeah, I sold a few.
Yeah.
I sold a few.
Not anymore.
It took too much time because I'd just be out in the shed
Yeah.
making them. So I've got to rely on weather. I've got to buy all the parts
Yeah.
and make sure I can get the parts. I only sold a few of them.
And are the pies were kind of unobtainable for a while, weren't they? Are they obtainable again?
I think you can get them, but they're expensive.
Oh.
Super expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy a complete kit with your power supply, your SD card.
Yeah.
For I don't know, 40 quid.
Okay.
Whereas now, at a guess, I'd say that's probably doubled now, maybe even a little bit. And that's if it's available. I had a notification yesterday to say that the official Raspberry Pi store had got stock of the Pi Zeros back in, which everybody's been after. But as soon as I got onto the site, they'd all sold out straight away.
Yeah,
so.
I guess. So I see in some of your videos you have your son with you playing games.
Yeah,
Is he into the retro hobby as well, or more into modern gaming?
He's more into modern gaming. Again, with my son, we started off playing Minecraft together.
Oh, okay.
Which was great fun. And then he started getting into Half-Life and various other games like that. And I tried to introduce him in as to play some retro games, which he enjoyed. But he wants to play with his friends, so I've never forced him. Come on, we're making a video today. I want you. You know, it's sort of spoils the fun out of it. But I do enjoy making videos with my son because he's more natural in front of the camera. And he'll just say things and they're just naturally funny. And I can bounce off him. I always feel as though I come across better on camera when I'm bouncing off somebody. I don't know if that's true or not. That just might be the way I see myself if I'm watching the video back. But he's just started to get into retro gaming, actually.
Okay.
My son has now, yeah. So he's got a Mega Drive 2 set up, PlayStation 1. So he's been going through the Resident Evil games.
Oh. Seems like it might be a good bonding experience for father-son.
It is, and that's one thing that we've always bonded over is our love for video games, and we can talk about it. I mean, he does other, I'm not one of these parents where I won't let him play video games, and we must be doing something every day because it never harmed me. I've always played video games, and as long as I still went out when I was a kid. I still watched TV programs, films, played video games a lot. But I still went out and played with my friends, a bit of football or martial arts or things like that. So he still gets a good dose of that. But
so you tell your son that's enough homework. It's time for video games.
Oh yes, well he knows that his homework is first. He does know that, but if he gets his homework done, I've got no problem with him playing his video games because I do. I'd be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
and there's and we can. It's great. We've always got something to talk about. It's brilliant. There's a lot of parents out there. I think they struggle to connect with their kids, maybe.
I'm sure they do.
And we've got that thing. It's brilliant. You know, we can
His
just
name
start.
is Aiden, I think. Is that right?
Hayden. Start
Hayden.
with H. Yeah.
Oh, what
Yeah.
grade is he in now? Is he in high school or?
Yeah, he's 14.
Oh,
So he's in
cool.
high school.
Does
Yeah, so
he
he's-
enjoy doing videos with his dad, or did you have to kind of coax him the first few times, or is he asking you
think-
to do it?
I think he never asks me.
Oh,
But I think he enjoyed doing them. I think he did. And I think he likes the idea of doing more videos with
did
me.
you say?
but
Maybe I may be mistaken. Does he have his own channel, or is that someone else I'm thinking of?
he started his own channel.
Oh, okay. Gaming related?
Gaming related. Yeah, he wanted to do like speed runs and and completion videos. So he'd play Half-Life all the way through, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But he soon got bored of that because of the editing side. I don't think he enjoys the editing part of it. Because
Maybe
while
his
he's
dad can
doing
help
that,
him with that.
yeah, because while he's doing that, he could be playing a game, so he'd rather be doing that. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's fair enough.
So, what systems did you grow up with and have nostalgia for?
Well, as I've said, arcades was the main one for me. Because going to pubs with my dad when I was young, in the family rooms, there'd always be an arcade machine in the pubs, or there'd be a tabletop arcade where you'd actually be sat down at with your beer on.
Right.
Obviously, I'd have my Coke.
You didn't have systems at home when you were young?
I did, but I started off with arcades,
Okay.
playing arcades in pubs and clubs and local fish and chip shops that were in there. We had a couple of arcades in the area. Whenever we went off on holiday to local seaside places, mainly in Wales, a place called Rhyl in North Wales. There'd always be arcades set up there. But my first ever home system, my dad bought it was for the family, called an Acetronic. I don't know if you've heard of
I'm
that.
not familiar with it,
system.
no.
Yeah. I've got one boxed up there. Just
Do you
bear
have
one
original?
second.
Yeah, sure. If it's buried, don't.
So yeah, this is the Acetronic MPU 1000.
Okay.
This wasn't my original system. This was a system I had to get back purely for my own nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to remember what system it was. It was just literally scouring the internet looking for old systems and
Oh wow.
sparking off that memory. But those were the joysticks. So
Okay, cool.
that literally there's no spring back. It's literally where you put it.
Right.
And you had these little
Overlays.
inserts,
Yeah.
which fit over. And
Okay,
each
nice.
game came with one of those to tell you what button to press. Just get the system out for you, just so you can have a look.
Yeah, I'm dying to see what this thing looks like.
It's a cartridge-based system. So that's the system. There you go.
All right.
So you got your cartridge slot there. You got your start, game select, load program, and your on and off button.
Is that graphic on the front what it came with, or is that something you applied?
That's something I applied because that was all scratched quite badly. So I
Okay.
literally just put some grey masking tape on there and a little sticker
Okay.
until I can find another one that I can just replace that plate with.
Do those joysticks come out, or they're hardwired in there?
They're hardwired in.
Oh wow. Okay.
Hardwired in, and you've literally just got the PAL RF connector. There's no SCART or
It's PAL, you said?
Yeah.
Do you guys use PAL there in the
yeah, it's PAL in the
Oh,
UK.
okay.
Yeah, RF, yeah, PAL. So it's 50 hertz.
Okay, yeah.
You run at 60, don't you, over there? I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good thing they have the
So-
switch on the Spectrum Next. We can switch between 50 and 60.
That's right, yeah. But that's the cartridges.
Okay.
So they were just a boring grey colour.
Hmm.
So that was
Yeah.
the first system for the family, if you like. And then the first system that I owned was the Atari 2600.
Okay.
Which I went through quite a few of those. So the Woody, the Vader, and then the nice coloured Junior. I've got I wonder if this will work actually. If this works, it'll save me spare me 1 second. I can
sure.
switch. See if this works. There we go.
Ah, multi-camera. Oh,
So I've
nice
got
soldering
the-
setup.
So the 2600's there.
Yeah.
There's a Junior there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what's that behind it? An Acorn?
Yeah, that's an Electron. Yeah,
Okay, nice.
Acorn Electron.
Yeah.
So I've got quite a few systems here.
Okay, Sega. Yeah.
There's a Mega Drive 2 there. There's a
Yeah.
SNES there.
Yeah.
Spectrum Plus 2. Mega 1200 there. There's a N64. A couple of GameCubes. Japanese Mega Drive.
Okay.
Got Dreamcast there.
Yeah.
A couple of PlayStations. That's the UK Mega Drive.
Okay.
Set of games there. But yeah, my
Nice.
whole office is littered with things.
Yeah, it's well set up. How about computers? Did you switch from cartridge-based systems to computers, or do you have a mixture of both? I'm guessing in your collection at the moment.
A mixture of both.
Yeah.
So I've got the BBC
Yeah.
to my right here, and my Nengo. There's an A. So I'll just switch cameras again.
Alrighty.
What
That'll
did
teach you to switch back too early.
That's right. Yeah. There we go. So got
There you
the
go.
A500 there,
Yeah.
which has just recently been restored. Andrew Spencer. Can you hear the audio okay?
I can hear you talking. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear, yeah.
I
So
can. Yeah.
Andrew Spencer and Simon Marston, I think his second name is. They run the Retro Computer Museum in Leicester.
Okay.
They restored that for me.
Oh, nice.
There's another plus two sat there with Exploding Fist running. There's a Commodore 64 there. What else have we got? We've got a 128K toast rack
Nice.
hiding there. Got a PC Engine, which is one of my favourite 8-bit consoles, actually.
What is it
Core
called?
graphics.
PC
Love
Engine?
that system. Yeah, love that system. Have you ever seen one?
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay. It was available in Japan only.
What is it? Cartridge system?
It's the card. Card. But it is an absolutely incredible system. You can get your hands on one or place the games, but yeah, little cards.
Cool.
Way before its time.
What type of controllers does it have?
They're a joypad. So it's that controller.
Okay.
So D-pad, 2 buttons.
All right.
And you start and you select. And on this particular pad, you've got various auto fire options.
Okay.
But yeah, no shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
But yeah, love that system.
Oh.
And here I have, what have I got there? I've got a UK PS3. I've got the NTSC PS3 because that had got the extra USB slots and SD cards.
Okay.
SD card slots on there. There's a 360 there.
Yeah.
There's another one there. 2 original Xboxes there.
I think you're going to run out of room pretty soon.
Well, I have.
You're going to have to move.
Yeah. There's a couple of PlayStation 2s there. The original fat and a slim.
Yeah.
And then there's a collection of Wii's there.
Okay.
They're all modded. And there's my PC hiding underneath there.
Is that what you use for running your channel and stuff?
This PC is my main PC for running the channel, gaming.
Yeah.
There's also a PC there which is just dedicated for any VR play that I want to set up. And then I've just got cabinets full of games there and up there. So it's 3D printer there.
Nice.
So it's pretty packed.
Yeah, I can see that.
Pretty packed of tech.
Were you always involved in collecting these systems since you started using them when you were younger? Or did you kind of leave the retro scene and come back to it more recently?
Well, I was never part of any scene. I was never really part of any scene. Oh. I started with the retro scene really, I suppose in 2014 when Elite Dangerous came out. Because at one thing I was going to say at LaveCon, there was always somebody had always set up a retro room there. Okay. So you had various systems. It was mainly computers, BBCs, MSX, that type of thing in there.
Yeah.
And 1 year, I asked if I could do it. So I took Stephen Usher took his computers, so he did the one side of the room, and I took a bunch of consoles and an old retro PC with it was an AMD K63, 16 mega RAM. So it would have been SD RAM, I think, on that particular board with a Voodoo 3 3D effects graphics card. So it's proper old school. Yeah. And that was just running Quake all day.
Okay. Can't go wrong with Quake.
Yeah. So I suppose that got me into the scene. That got me into joining groups in Facebook.
So before 2014, you weren't really involved in all this stuff?
Not in the scene. I was always involved in my retro computers.
On your own.
But by then, it was mainly emulation. So I was playing all these systems via emulation. My PC was my main focus. So all the main games that were coming out there, I was playing on those. But my old systems were still packed away. My Amiga was broken. My Spectrum was broken. So yeah, it was just a case of digging it all out and setting it all back up.
And nowadays you keep up with the modern games that come out because you play modern games
as well. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Right. What would you say is the ratio of time that you spend playing modern games versus retro games?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say 50-50.
Oh.
Because if I'm editing if I'm doing stuff for YouTube, I'm going to be playing retro games.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal, isn't it? But a lot of the modern games that I play, they're almost retro linked, because I suppose because Elite Dangerous, that took a lot of years of playing. That actually ruined my modern game playing, because all I was playing every day, every night was Elite Dangerous. The game I'm currently playing at the moment is System Shock. So it's the remake of System Shock.
Okay.
Again, that's a retro game, but it's a modern take on it. I've recently acquired an Xbox Series X. So I'm playing a lot of the modern games on there, but my attention span with modern games is very low. I tend to prefer the indie games.
Okay.
I think they're wrote better, less bugs. They're not asking you for extra money, loot boxes, all that kind of thing. All that is, in my opinion, your big boys like Activision, EA, Ubisoft, they've ruined modern gaming for myself, and I also feel as though all the games are dumbed down. When we're playing retro games, you physically have to look at what the controls are. You have to read what to do, and you play the game. And you're not always told everything. Whereas modern games, as soon as you start a game now, it's like, press X to jump. And you get little prompts. And it's like, I think I can work out how to jump. And there's a ladder. Press X to climb the ladder. And it's like, I don't know if you agree, but for me, that is so frustrating. And this remaster of System Shock, they haven't done that. They've made it like the original. So you're thrown into the game. It tells you nothing. You have to read everything. You have to listen to all the audio files. There's no prompts. There's no mission objectives. There's no little pointy arrows that say you've got to go this way. There's none of that. You've just got to work it out yourself. Exactly the same as what we had to do with playing old games and old systems.
Do you find that makes you more invested in the game if you have to spend that effort learning how to play the game rather than being able to jump in and out so quickly?
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, definitely.
I find it interesting, and I'm not really representative of the gaming community because I only focus on retro systems and retro games. I don't even play really games anymore. I'm trying to focus on developing them and seeing what new I can bring to developing retro games. But do you find being in the community that it's common for people like yourself to be interested in both brand new modern games as well as retro games, since they're so different, like you just mentioned? Do you find people find both of those appealing, generally speaking?
From people I've talked to, if they've just got into the scene, then no. I think if you've started off with those old systems way back, I think there is an age thing there. Then you can appreciate modern games when you look at things with better graphics and things like that, because you've built up to that point, haven't you? Where somebody with a fresh pair of eyes just looking at modern graphics, they'll judge a game. Oh, look at the graphics, they're rubbish, and you're looking at it thinking, well, that looks pretty damn good to me.
Because you know the capabilities.
Because you know the capabilities of the machines and the years of sound design, and things used to impress us. Shadow of the Beast, for instance, on the Amiga. First time
I love that game. Yeah.
we saw parallax scrolling. It was like, wow, look at that. That is incredible. And you listen to the music. My only problem with Shadow of the Beast was, and I always say this, is the presentation, stunning, screens, parallax scrolling, the music, the graphics, the box that you had, free T-shirt, all that was amazing. But gameplay wise, it was rubbish.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some people focus on the graphics and forget about the gameplay, it seems.
I think they really did with that. But it was the game that you put on to show your mates.
Yeah.
It was like you loaded it up. Oh, look what my computer can do. But you didn't play it. It was like, right, there you go now. Check it out. Put another game in. IK Plus or Battle Squadron or Speedball or something, something decent to play.
Do you own the Atari VCS system, the new one, or any other new versions other than the Next of remakes of retro systems?
I've got a couple of mini systems.
Okay. Like the C64 Mini, probably.
So I've got the Mega Drive 2 Mini.
Okay, cute.
But that's the Japanese one.
All right.
That's from Play Asia. And the reason why I tend to go for the Japanese stuff is I just think the art, it's purely aesthetics. I love the artwork. I love the Japanese style artwork. I think it's far better than what we get anyway for the UK versions.
Of what, the box?
So the box, yeah. The instructions, the way it looks is different to the UK version.
Okay.
You also get the 6-button pad as well. I think on the UK one, you only get 3-button pad.
Okay.
So there's that. Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. So the Commodore 64 Mini.
Okay.
Which you mentioned. Yeah.
Have you tried that out yet?
Yeah, I've done a few videos of that one. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a good little system. You've just got to be very careful of the joystick.
Oh, it has a custom joystick?
It's like a competition. Do you know the Competition Pro joystick?
Yeah, I think I have one. Yeah. From yeah.
So I think it's modeled on that joystick, but it just hasn't got the construction of that joystick. It feels as though if you, let's say you were playing like a track and field or a Daley Thompson game, you would literally pull the joystick off, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I think, yeah, you'd have to be careful with it.
And do you have to use that joystick? You can't use any joystick with it?
Well, it's a USB joystick, but it's got some extra buttons on there for keyboard functions. So that's something I haven't tried. I don't know if you can plug in a USB pad.
Yeah.
And whether that would pick up the buttons. I haven't tried that. That's something to try. And I've also got the A500 Mini.
Okay. What do you think of that?
I'm still yet to try it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's in my pile of videos to do.
To-do list. Do you have any Atari minis? I know there's obviously been a ton of connect up to your TV Atari all-in-one systems. Do you bother with those kind of things?
No, I don't tend to bother with those. No.
Yeah.
I know which ones you mean.
I think I saw you had. Was it you that had a mini arcade? Yeah, it was you. You had a really tiny. Was it Atari? A little tiny screen?
Yes.
What is it? Atari tiny arcade. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 2600, little 2600, and you've got just Atari's classic games on there. So you got Centipede, Pong, Missile Command. You've got Breakout, Asteroids, Tempest, Millipede, and Combat. But there's no video output, so you can't link it up to a modern screen. It's more of an ornament, really. But the joystick works. It's quite functional.
It looked like it worked pretty well and has a really nice display, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, the way you could play it was probably the way that I set up the video. So you could put it, as long as you set up a camera facing the screen, run that through into OBS, and then clone the OBS screen
Mm.
onto another screen, you'd have it full screen then. So you could
Okay.
play it that way. Right then, so let's have a look at this Atari 2600 tiny arcade. Now, since we've got 9 Atari games with a bonus game, Pac-Man, so 10 games altogether. We've got the console, little joystick, little TV. I love how it says high resolution classic console TV, that's hilarious. Adjustable screen for optimal gameplay. And we've got some classic games: Centipede, Pong, Missile Command. We've got Breakout, Asteroids, Combat. We've got Warlords, Millipede, and Tempest. So let's get it opened. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Doesn't really do anything. Button there, and we've got the joystick. Fire button works. Up, down, left, right. It actually feels quite nice, actually, that little joystick. Right then, let's pull out the battery saver and see what happens. And there's all our games. Oh well. So we've got sound. Oh, it's super slow. But surprising enough, no, I died. You'll get a bigger screen. Not practical, I get that. It does work. So that's Missile Command. That's Pong. Tempest. Oops. Not a good start. Yeah, you need a... this is quite difficult to play, actually. Warlords. Can't actually remember how to play this. So that's Warlords. Asteroid Skull. Ah, missed it again. Just killed myself. Slightly modified because you haven't got the controls of the Atari. Yeah, as like a little simple, you know, gaming device. It's all right, that is. So yeah, well impressed. I recommend that. But you've got your little hippie here like this for your little joystick.
I don't mind that, actually. I think it's good that they've made a product that is a standalone all-in-one kind of product that it doesn't let you hook up extra joysticks, extra video screens. It is what it is. You take it or you leave it kind of thing. But I guess you could lie in bed and play it under the blankets, couldn't you?
I suppose so. Yeah. That was I found that in Lidl of all places.
In what?
In Lidl.
What is that?
I don't know if you've got them in Canada. Have you got Aldi in Canada?
I don't even know what you're referring to. Is it an online shop or a physical place?
Oh, sorry, right. So
How do you spell it?
Over in the UK, we've got supermarkets called Aldi and Lidl.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of those. I guess we don't have.
So we've got your usual like Asda, Tesco's, Sainsbury's, and then we've also got Lidl and Aldi. I think they're German brothers, Lidl and Aldi. I think, and they just branched away and made their own little supermarkets. They used to be low end, super cheap supermarkets, but over time, as the years have gone by, they produce high quality stuff, you know, as good as any other supermarket, still with cheaper prices. So it was just crazy to find that in a little supermarket.
Yeah, well, they used to sell, I think, probably over there, the ZX81. Weren't they sold in like pharmacies and stuff? Over here, they were sold in just any shop. You could pretty much pick up a Timex Sinclair, the North American version of it. Was it the same over there?
Yeah, we had Boots and WH Smiths and Woolworths. They tend to be the main ones for selling the old 8-bit systems, especially the Speccy.
Yeah.
And you had your typical electrical shops as well, like who would you have had then? Tandy's, who are no longer about.
Yeah. You had Radio Shack over there?
I think
Or
no,
did
I
they
don't
just
think
call
we
it
did.
Tandy?
I think Tandy's was Radio Shack
Okay,
over
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Do you do any programming yourself? Did you ever get into basic programming or assembly language or anything?
I did a little bit of basic programming when I first had my Spectrum. I think I wrote an text adventure game, like everybody else did. So it had a loading screen, and then I can't remember what it was. I bet it's on one of my tapes somewhere, but whether it would still work, I've no idea.
Oh, really? You still have it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I see no reason why I wouldn't have it. But whether it would still work, I mean, that's one thing I found with a lot of taped games. They've started to degrade over time. The same with Commodore Amiga discs as well. They've started to degrade now. Yeah.
3.5-inch discs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What system would that have been for?
The 3.5-inch.
The program you made.
Oh, it was for the Spectrum.
Okay,
yeah.
So the Spectrum was your first actual computer.
Spectrum 48, yeah.
Okay, and I've seen you've done a few videos with Wayne Robbins.
Yeah.
I cannot say this, right, but I have no idea who this person is. There was a guy going around sticking these stickers everywhere.
All right, we'll find him.
He was known as the Phantom Crash Sticker Man, and I had nothing to do with it, honest.
I think I know who it is.
You know? I mean, when one of these stickers found its way onto the front door of number 10 Downing Street, that was probably the last straw.
How did you guys meet? Does he live near you? Did you know him before?
We met at Spectrum 40. So we had an event over here called Spectrum 40, which was at a place called Warsaw, which is near myself in the area that I live in is called the West Midlands.
Okay.
It's an area. It's like an area within Birmingham of the UK.
Okay.
So there was an event in Warsaw called Spectrum 40, and there wasn't that many people there. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Oh, are you Bapstarcade?" And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm Wayne, Retro Robbins," and I was like, "I think I've seen your channel." And then we got talking, and we got talking about Spectrums, and I happened to say to him, "Oh, I've got a a Spectrum 128K that's broken, that needs some attention. And he was like, I'll fix that for you. And I was like, no. I said, it's no good. He says, no, I'll repair them. And I was like, right, okay. Now, bearing in mind, my Spectrum 128, even though it was broken, I didn't know what was the matter with it. That was my pride and joy, because it was my original one from when I was a kid. And he says, no, he said, where do you live? And I told him, he says, I'm only around the corner from you. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So we literally popped round. No, actually, no. I got it in the car. Because I was hoping at Spectrum 40 there'd be somebody there to look at it and repair it, but there was nobody there. I says, well, I've got it in the car. And he says, I'll take it and repair it for you. He says, I'll bring it back today for you. And I'm thinking, wow, who is this guy? How can somebody be so generous? But in the other hand, I might not ever see him again. So I put my trust, and I'm not the most trusting person, I'll tell you that now. But I was like, yeah, this guy seems great. You know, we got on like a house on fire. So he took away my Spectrum at the end of the event, and literally on that evening, he turned up. He's like, there you go, it's all done. And he'd recapped it, he'd cleaned it, he'd changed one of the regulators on there, I think, for me. He'd fixed the feet. He'd put new pads on the feet for me. I think there was a couple of screws missing. He'd replaced those. And I was like, wow, what do I owe you? He's like, you don't owe me nothing. And I was like, okay. And I was utterly blown up. Honestly, he's one of the most generous people I've ever met. But we've made a real good friendship out of it because of the scene. And then we started doing a few videos together, and we've got a good, as I say, we tend to bounce off each other. We can take the mick out of each other, and we do it as as fun and for people to laugh at. So yeah, that's how it started. And
you might never have met it hadn't been for maybe both of your channels.
Exactly that, yeah. And now we do as much as we can to support each other. I always give him shout outs, and he does. I think he does the same for me. He better. And yeah, we do videos together, and it's real good fun. So he looks after me, and I look after him, basically.
Cool, and that's the way it should be in this community.
Yeah.
Right. I know he's involved with the Crash events, and he's involved with well, I'm not sure if he does anything else with Chris on the Fusion Retro books. Are you involved in any of that stuff with them as well?
I know Chris. I'm friends with Chris. I've interviewed him on my channel. I've got something on the back of my door, and it just says on air.
Is it really?
Well, it says my man cave, but I've just literally turned it round, got a marker pen, and put on air. It's just so my son doesn't barge in, or my wife barges in and says, "Oh, your tea's done," or one of them.
Yeah.
I helped out a little bit, only a tiny bit at Crash. Helping Wayne actually set some of the machines up, tuning in some of the TVs for him, and I was setting a few things up for the Retro Computer Museum that was there. The only thing that I've done Crash wise is I advertise them on my channels in the descriptions. I've done a few of the Bapstarcade series videos that I've done. I've gone through some of the mini magazines, the Crash magazines that I've had.
Yeah. The magazines, do you guys get the cover tapes with them when you order them?
No, they're separate. You order them
Okay.
separate off the site. Wayne's involved in those. He basically sends out messages to people in the community saying, "Look, have you got any? Are you working on anything? Working on any demos, any games, any music that I can have to put onto the tape, and then you can get your name out there. You know, you got to pay for the tape, obviously, but it gets your name out there, and you get to be on a tape. I mean, how cool's that?
That's one of
so
my
the only
goals to get one of my games on with his tape. I don't
well,
know if
if
that'll
you-
ever happen.
Well, why not? If you can write a Spectrum 48 or 1 to 8K game and you pass it over to Wayne, I guarantee you that will get on a Crash tape. Guarantee you.
I'll wait till my programming skills are improved a little bit, I think, before I try to submit anything.
Well, whatever.
But yeah, that's my goal.
The only thing I'm involved in with Crash really is I've got my voice on Crash Radio.
Do you? What? Doing
Yeah.
what?
I basically just say, "Welcome to this is Crash. This is Bapstarcade, and you're listening to
Oh, really?
Crash Radio." Yes, I'm on there.
I'll have to go listen for that. I haven't heard that.
And that's through Retro Beachman, who set that up, Crash Radio. And that's because he's in our Spectrum Next launcher team. Also, he
Okay,
runs a
well,
server.
you guys
for
are all
that.
mixed together in all these things like a big
Yeah.
tangled web.
We've all met up at certain places, and we've just all, as you say, like a web, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're all lovely guys.
I saw your interview with him, Retro Beachman. What's his real name?
You put me on the spot now.
I'm on the spot as well. I should know this. I should do some research before I ask these questions, shouldn't I?
So today we have David Clark, aka Retro Beachman.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Yeah,
Good.
you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Dave Clark. Dave Clark.
Right.
You'll
Dave Clark. Right,
have
yeah.
to cut that bit out.
We're human.
Yeah, Dave Clark. Yeah. So
Um,
again, I met Dave Clark at Retro Computer Museum again in Leicester, and we got
Yeah.
talking. I asked him if I could interview him. We had a great interview because he's into writing games for the Specky.
Yeah. Is he Sonic as well, or is that someone else?
Sonic, yeah, Dave Sonic Clark. Yeah,
Dave Sonic, Retro Beachman Clark. He's got
Yeah.
too many names there.
that's it. Yeah.
No wonder we can't
Again,
remember them.
Yeah, lovely guy, lovely
Yeah.
guy. He wrote a game called Impossabubble.
Yeah, I looked
Yeah.
that up after I saw you interview. Well, you put a clip on it of your.
Yeah,
And it got really sort of good reception.
yeah. And
Yeah,
again, I do whatever I can to promote his games, his channel, Crash Radio, any products that he's involved in, and he's done the same for me. He's put my YouTube links on his page. So yeah, it's great when people appreciate what you do, and you can do something for them as well.
Yeah,
it's good.
it seems like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the only thing that I've done really with Crash is they've got a online website called Fusion
Retro Books.
They've got Fusion Retro Books, but they've also got Fusion R Gamer, and that's a gaming site for retro games, all systems. And I've done a couple of articles on there.
Articles.
Yeah, a couple of articles.
You've written articles? They're written?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
written articles. Yeah, so they're on there.
So you write
Um,
articles as well?
I've only done a few. That takes a lot of brain power to do.
Oh, okay.
To do that. That's not my my forte.
Okay.
I get my wife to proofread it for me after I've done those. But I'm getting better. Getting
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll ask you to write an article for me one of these days if you get your brain
Yeah, I'll have a
power.
go.
I see you have in your collection, you have a lot. Obviously, your collection is, well, to me, kind of massive. You have a lot of physical items in your collection, including that little, is that the pin collection or something you picked up at Crash behind you that looks like a little mini arcade box?
Yes.
What is that of?
Asteroids.
Asteroids.
Little pin badges. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. You have a lot of obviously physical stuff in your collection. What are your thoughts about physical versus digital in general?
Oh,
with the
right. Okay.
with the coolness of having something physical versus the convenience of having something digital. Do you have any? Has that ever crossed your mind?
I get the point of digital in the fact that if you've got limited space, I get that point of it. But if you're spending money on something digital, it's not really there. Especially modern games, if they shut servers down, you've lost your game collection. That's it. Game over. With something physical, you've got your box, you've got your cartridge, you've got your instructions that you can read and touch and hold and put on a shelf, and it looks nice. And you've paid for that. You can look at that and go, yep, that's where my money's gone. Digital, it's what have you got? You've got nothing. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an age thing. I don't know, but I mean, even modern games now. Especially PC, that's dried up completely. PC games now is completely dried up. You cannot buy boxed PC games anymore unless you go to sites such as limited run games or strictly limited games. They still do boxed versions, but again, very limited, and you have to wait a long time to get these editions. I think the most I've waited is like 2 years. It's a little bit like a Kickstarter because they're a limited run.
These are new games that are being developed, like a
These
Kickstarter.
brand new games, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you have some in your collection, multiples of the same, like different colored. I don't know if they're game cubes or what you were showing me.
Oh,
other
yeah.
multiples.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you buy multiples other than just it's cool to have
No.
several of different colors? Or
I just liked what they did with GameCube and the Wii, and I thought that'll look good as a display, having the different colors. You could argue that the black one that I've got is a UK one, but the silver, purple, and the orange one they're all Japanese ones. So I've got a couple of Japanese GameCube games, so I can run those.
okay.
And with the Wii, it was just display purposes. It was nice to have those different colors.
Yeah.
And they were cheap. They were cheap at the end of the day, especially in Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
Probably one of the best machines to buy if you're into emulation, the Nintendo Wii.
If you're into emulation,
definitely, because you can hack the Wii and put every single system on there. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Didn't know that.
Do
you have anything in?
Great system.
Sorry, did I let you finish?
I was just saying it's a great system to have. Really is.
Do you actually play that system? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
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 Oh.
Yeah.
You don't. I wouldn't think a lot of people play the Wii anymore.
I think it's because it was advertised as just playing tennis.
Yeah.
With your grandparents and bowling, whereas the Wii library, there's some awesome games for the Wii out there. Some good first person shooters, some good platform games on there, and if you hack the Wii because it's a software hack.
Okay.
It opens it all up for emulation. You can run a hard drive on there, so you can put all your games on there. The Nintendo Wii will run GameCube games, physical disc ones as well.
Oh.
So there's a lot that system that can do that I think is forgotten about. It's a video I plan to do on the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because it's so cheap. You probably pick one up for about 20, 25 pound. But you can do a lot with it.
And do you have room in your man cave there to actually move around with that controller on your wrist to play Wii games? That thing needs a lot of space to move around, doesn't it?
No, but you can use you can literally just sit here and do this, can't you?
Okay.
But a lot of
bowling might be difficult.
A lot of the platform games, you just turn your control around and you've got your D-pad and you've got all your buttons there.
Okay.
Or you can plug in a GameCube controller, because obviously on the side of the original Wii's, the flap lifts up and you've got 4 ports for GameCube controllers. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know. I've never owned a Wii.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's because everybody thinks, oh, a Wii, it's just that thing you do this with. They don't realize what that machine can do. So maybe it's I'll get a video done for that.
Yeah, that might be worth doing a video.
Mm.
Do you have anything in your collection that's unopened? Are you that type of collector, or do you always want to open everything and use it?
I like to open things. I've got a friend who literally buys everything, and they're still in the Amazon boxes.
Amazon, that's not even on display.
It's not even on display.
Display an Amazon box.
It's a running joke. He's always like, "Oh, shut up! I'll open it one day." I don't see the point. I mean, I know there's collectors out there who like to keep them all sealed, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's all sealed, and how much is this worth?" But you're not playing the game. You're not enjoying the game.
Yeah.
You're not enjoying the smell of the new box and looking at the artwork that somebody's spent time on and reading all about the game and your controls and the actual physical putting either the cartridge into the machine or the disc into the machine. You miss all that enjoyment, because I think that was part of the enjoyment of games. But buying that new game and you've got it home and it's like, oh, and you're opening it up, and not to sit in an Amazon box and next, just so you can say, oh, I've got that. Well,
Right.
What's the point? But yeah, it's a running joke with one of my friends for that. I'm like, just open it up.
The Amazon box could have a brick in it. He doesn't know.
Yeah. Because, you could argue, well, if you open it up, it devalues it. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in playing the game.
Yeah.
If it knocks an extra £50 off it, if I was going to sell it, I'm not buying it to sell. I'm buying it to play. So, yeah, I don't see the point. Don't see the point at all. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's good to actually use the things you buy. You can't argue against that, really.
You've got me thinking now. If I've actually got anything that's sealed, if I have got something that's sealed, it's probably because I've no interest in playing it.
You better open that Amiga Mini 500 you got there.
Yeah, but again, I've already pulled the cellophane off it, so
okay,
it's not sealed now.
Okay, you're in the clear then.
Yeah,
I saw a video you did recently where you attended an event called Retcon 2023.
Oh yes, that was last weekend. Yeah.
Oh, what was that about? It looked kind of cool.
So
what
that was
Retcon stand for anyway? Retro, what?
Retro convention. I
Oh,
imagine
okay.
Retcon. Yeah, as simple as that, I think. Yeah, that was in a community centre in a place called Greenford in London. So London's about a 2-hour drive.
And Wayne drove you, right?
Sorry?
Wayne drove you to that one?
And Wayne drove, yeah. So I didn't have to drive to that one. I took my son. My son was in the back of the car. Hey folks, today we are on our way to Retcon in Greenford, I think it is. And with me driving is Retro Robbins.
Yeah.
So hello, Mr. Retro Robbins.
I'm gonna keep my eyes on the road.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I got Aiden in the back.
Also keep my eyes on the road.
Yeah, keep your eyes on the road.
Keeping his eye on.
So yeah, see you in a bit. Come here, mate. I want to show you something. Look at that.
It's a baby. Nice, isn't it?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was in Greenford in London, and it was as far as I know, it was the third time that it was on. So it was the third year. I'm guessing COVID obviously stopped a couple of those years, like it did with everything else, every other event. But yeah, it was just a large room. It was full of all systems that you can think of. You know, your BBCs, and all your gaming systems. There was a company there called Monster Joysticks who created a little bit like what you see at the back there, like the retro machine, the retro Pi machine, but just as a joystick form.
Yeah.
So it used the same Chinese joystick and buttons, but they'd made them into USB.
They're
controllers.
USB. Okay.
Yeah. Running off systems, running emulators. There was Mike's Vintage Tech. I think he was there. He's got a big YouTube channel. I think he was advertising APET machines. So proper old APET screens and the keyboard, but the old part of it had been taken out. So you got a modern screen in there with a modern PC keyboard. And my son was playing Half-Life 2 on that system, which was weird to look at.
Yeah.
Because it was an old case. I don't know if they're new production cases of the old one or whether they're genuine old APET machines.
The
Not
APET
sure
machine,
there.
is that the PET? Or is
Yeah, I
that
think
something
it's-
different?
Yeah, I think it is the PET, isn't it? Which was it Commodore PET? Or was it
Yeah,
Apple?
I would think so, Commodore, yeah.
Was
But it had a
Commodore?
widescreen, right, on your video. I wouldn't imagine the original PET had a widescreen.
No, so they just literally put that widescreen TFT monitor in there as the screen. So they just retrofitted it for a modern PC. So there was that there. You had a guy there who had recreated Commodore 64, VIC-20 cases, different colors, and again, you could buy a modern ITX mini PC and put those in there. He designed a cooling system and heat sink for it.
What do you think of that? So you're basically buying a PC that has a C64 keyboard and case?
I've got to say, until I saw it, I was like, well, what's the point? But when I saw them in different colors and there was a translucent one and there was one with LED keyboard, I was like, you know what, that looks really cool. But I wouldn't use it for a retro machine as such with different emulators. I think that I would literally just have it boot up as a Commodore 64.
Oh,
So it'd be emulating a Commodore 64, but I think I would use it for that. I think it'd be a nice piece.
just to have a different color case?
Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's an indulgence. It's a lot of money just to do that. But
well, I saw in your video you were
Yeah.
looking at a clear. I think it was an Amiga 500.
oh,
That one looked nice.
I was in love with that machine.
Was
I
he
was in
selling
love with
those?
that machine. No,
Oh no.
no. I think I think there's a site called Retro Passion. I think, or Amiga. No, sorry, Amiga Passion. And I think he said he might sell the cases on there. And I think there was Kickstarters originally for the translucent case. I think there was a Kickstarter out there for the key set, black key set. Where he got because it looked like a purple printed board. I've no
Okay.
idea where that's from. I don't know if that's a modern printed Amiga, so it's got modern chips in there. Maybe it's FPGA. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And there was a graphic accelerator card in there. He did tell me what accelerator it was. It wasn't a Vampire, and it wasn't a Pi Storm. It was something else. I can't remember what he said. But it was incredible. I wanted that machine. I wanted that Amiga. Yeah.
So it was worth the 2-hour drive,
It was. I'd definitely go again.
except for no burger truck outside.
Oh yeah, I had a little moan about that. There was no food. There was literally just pop, crisps, chocolate, tea, coffee.
Did you have to buy those pop chips? And
Oh yeah. You had to. Yeah, absolutely. You had to pay for that.
Yeah.
I could see that there was nowhere in the community centre itself as like a kitchen or anything to put food on. But there was a lot of guests there. There was a lot of old guests there. If you think, well, really, people want some food. They've driven. I mean, Davy Pleasance was there. You had the Oliver twins there. You had
any of the next team were there?
No, none of the next team were there. You had Colin. Is it Colin Porch? He was there. Got to speak to Colin Porch, the guy who made Head Over Heels.
Yeah, you did an interview with him, right?
No, he's a guy I need to interview.
Really? Where did I
think it was Wayne who interviewed.
Wayne interviewed him? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Wayne interviewed.
Yeah. He's a lovely guy. If I can get an interview with him, that'd be good. I think I'd enjoy that. Sharp as a whistle he is, and I think he's got to be in his 70s. I'm going to say might be. I don't think he's 80, but he's getting on a bit now. Yeah, he was a lovely guy. They had the guy there who, I'm trying to think of his name. He created Football Manager on the Spectrum.
Okay.
He was there. I think there was a YouTuber there called Retro Faith. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
It was a good day. It
How
really
long
was a
did you
good day.
spend at the event itself?
Pretty much all day.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It looked on from the video like a fairly small room. Was there enough there to keep someone busy for a day?
You had three rooms. You had the main room with all the setups in. You had a second smaller room, which is where you had some Amiga set up. There was a guy who got a Spectrum Next set up. Guy called Carlo, who was a fan of the channel, which I was really. It's great when you meet people and like, I know who you are. I like your channel. It's like, oh wow, okay. And he showed me some menu settings that he'd done, which was amazing. You could literally choose any core using the Spectrum Next from the menu. So he was choosing MSX, Amstrad, BBC. He got some arcade games on there as well, and he was just selecting them from the OS menu, and they were just booting up.
Can the Next simulate a ZX81?
Yeah, it's built into the software. Yeah, ZX81's in there. Yeah,
Because I was looking for it on my Next the other day, and I couldn't find it. Maybe it's in there.
I'm pretty sure it is.
But I haven't updated my core in a long time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there. ZX80, 81. Your full line of Spectrums, even the Russian clones, they're all on there. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah. Oh, cool. One of the cool things about it seems like the retro gaming community or retro computer community in the UK, and I use UK to refer to kind of the whole area you guys are in, whether it's Wales or Scotland or
We're,
whatever. I don't know.
we're a little island at the end of the day, aren't we?
It seems like a really kind of tight-knit community and a very active community. Maybe because you guys all grew up with Speccies, I don't know, but it seems like there's a lot of events and a lot of communication and people reaching out to each other in the community, which I think probably appeals to other people in the general retro computing community, even who aren't in that area, such as like TJ and myself, who are in North America, obviously. Do you go to other, well, I know you do, go to other retro computing and gaming events? Like, I think you went to Crash, right? And
yes, since I went to LiveCon, as I said, to do with Elite Dangerous, I've started to go to as many gaming events as I can. So it started off with we have events like EGX and Insomnia over in the UK, which are every system, everything modern gaming. They have like retro sections, arcade sections, indie game sections. So it started off with those. And then I suppose the first retro event was arranged by a guy called Craig Turner, friend of mine, a guy I've also interviewed. He used to build arcade machines called Turner Arcades.
Oh.
And he ran an event called Retro Revival. So it was revival events. And I went along to that. And he had guests on, arcades everywhere, pinball machines, every game system and computer system you could think of was all set up. I mean, he's friends with Chris Wilkins also, and now Chris is obviously setting his own events up with help from Craig. So you've got Crash, you've got Zap, and you've also got Fusion. And then in Leicester, which is about an hour and a half away from myself, you've got the Retro Computer Museum, which is like a little family of us now that we all meet up. It's where I've met most of my retro friends there.
do they have annual events, or you just go there whenever?
It's always open. It's always open as a museum. But what Andy Spencer does every 3 months or so, he sets up an event, a tickets event called The Gathering. And it tends to be all the same faces that go there. So you'll have Chris Wilkins there, you'll have Jim Bagley, Simon Butler might turn up, and Wayne will be there, and everybody in the community, no matter what system they're into. Could be arcade systems, Commodore. You've got a guy called Jonathan Taylor. He goes there. He runs a Commodore 64 SID station. And you've got, what else have you got? You've got Radio Matlock, another Commodore 64 SID and remix radio station. So we all just meet up. Retro Beach Man, he's always there. And we just play games. We all chat, eat good food, drink. We have we have a raffle on.
Oh yeah,
Richard Faulkner will turn up with his guitar and he'll play some guitar of old computer classics like Outrun theme tunes and things like that.
Oh really? He plays retro gaming tunes on his guitar?
Yeah. He's
Cool.
so good. So that's give us a bond, a community bond, really, which is really good.
Yeah, that's cool being part of a community like that where everyone.
It really is. It really is. It's.
Yeah. Are you going to the Zap live event that's coming up?
Yes, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
Is that any event that pops up now?
Oh,
I'll be there.
They're looking for you now.
Yeah, it's. Where is it? It's in a place called Kenilworth, which is probably about an hour's drive.
Okay.
But I think Wayne's going to that one, so I think he's already but he's already taxi. So
you volunteered him to drive you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good plan. So can I ask, what is your day job? I'm assuming you have a day job aside from YouTube.
Yes, it's completely different to my hobby. Yeah, I currently work for a skateboarding. I say skateboarding. It's a skate company distribution. We've got our own website called Skatehut, and we sell skateboards, scooters, roller skates, roller blades, bikes, electric scooters.
Called
You name it. Skatehut.co.uk.
Skatehut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you a skater, or are you a skater?
I was a skater when I was a kid, up
Yeah.
to the age of 15 when I came off and broke my shoulder.
Oh.
And then my dad got upset and snapped my boarding off, and I never skated again.
So now you sell them.
But it's cool working there because my son's a skater.
Okay.
So I can get discounts on certain things, and I can get the latest boards for him if he wants those. So that's pretty cool. I get a staff discount. So
yeah, sounds like
that's
you're a
good.
pretty cool dad. You're providing your son with skateboards and video games.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope he thinks I'm cool.
Well, it seems like you are. I would have liked to had a dad who provided me with skateboards and video games, but are there any other hobbies that you were involved with?
I'm still part of the martial art community.
Okay. Which martial arts do you do?
So from the age of 11, that's when I started karate.
Okay.
Joined various clubs until I found one that I'd settled with, which was a Shotokan karate club. And I trained and did that up until I was about, I don't know, 18 maybe. And then obviously other interests get in the way.
What color?
Drinking and girls. Yeah,
it's a good hobby.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a break and then carried on again, and
now you're back in it.
And now I'm back in it, but at the moment I'm injured, so I can't train at the moment.
That's a shame.
Well, I've had arthritis developing in my hip.
Oh,
and
no.
I've got some lower back issues which I need to sort out before I train. But I take my son. My son's still doing it, so I take him.
He does it as well. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So what level belt are you? Did you get to black belt in your training?
Yeah, second dan black belt in Shotokan.
Oh, nice.
I also did Aikido. I got up to yellow belt in Aikido in the hand part of it, and also weapons, including it was the boken and the jo. So the jo is the broomstick, if you like.
Okay.
And the boken is the wooden, like samurai sword. It's like the practice sword.
Oh, no nunchucks?
So I had to do no nunchucks. No. Yeah.
No throwing stars.
No ninja stuff.
Oh, ninja stuff. Okay.
But yeah, that was good fun. That was good fun.
Well, I really appreciate you taking all this time to talk to me. I'm sure other people are going to enjoy watching this conversation and getting to know more about you.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Are there any projects you're working on, or any ways in particular that if anyone watches this and think, hey, that Bapsta's a pretty good guy, how can I get in touch with him? How would you like people to get in touch with you?
So I've obviously got my YouTube channels. So I've got Bapstarcade. I've got What's Next, which is the dedicated Spectrum Next channel. I've got a good old Natter which is my video podcast stroke interview channel. And I'm also on the team with Gaming Face Punch with Gareth and Nigel. So that's my YouTube channels. I'm also on Twitch under Bapstarcade, where sometimes you'll see me playing anything from retro to modern gaming on there. Project wise, I'm involved in the Spectrum Next launcher software made by Richard Sherman.
Okay.
And so I'm the beta tester for that, and also the beta tester for the Retro Wireless, which is a cool little Bluetooth device. So you can load your games off using a phone or PC straight
Is that
into
available
your
now,
Spectrum.
or is it still in prototype stage?
It is available. I think there's minimum supply on that one. There might be still a few available. You'd have to contact Richard to do with that. But there's a Facebook group.
And the launcher, I think, is available, right?
Yeah, that's free to download.
Okay.
I can get that link for you. Retro Beachman hosts the site and the software.
Okay.
So he's also part of the team.
Are you involved? I'm assuming you're part of Facebook groups, and people maybe can contact you through the groups, or maybe directly through Facebook, or
but I thought about creating a Facebook group for myself, but in the end, I basically scrubbed down my Facebook page, personal page, and just dedicated it to my channels and the community.
Okay.
Because I don't use social media to hang out my dirty laundry, if that makes sense, or my own personal life or my own social life.
Yeah.
I don't use social media for that. I literally use it for my channels, what I'm interested in. So there's that, and the main project, the other main project I'm involved in is I QA ideas and beta test a brand new game that's coming out for the Spectrum Next. I also do all the videos for it, called TX 1696. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of videos with that. I've done competitions. We've showed it off at Crash, showed it off at Retro Computer Museum and different events. I think all the ideas are in there now. A few bugs maybe to iron out. It's literally probably the last level now we need to sort out, and boss patterns and things like that.
Right.
But that's coming along.
So if people want to meet you in person, they can run into you at the Zap Live event, or is there anything else coming up sooner?
Yeah, any of the UK gaming events, I'll be there. I'll try my hardest to be there if they want to try and bump into me and have a chat. I like to think I'm approachable, so I'm normally more approachable if I've already had one drink.
Well, hopefully they'll be serving drinks at the events then.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it. Bret, Bap, whatever you prefer to be called.
Oh, Jay, it's been awesome. Thank you very much
my
for asking. I'll have to we'll have to do a good old natter with as well.
Sure, I'm always up for it. So what do they say in the UK? You guys don't say goodbye, you say ta-da. What does that mean?
I think it changes from what region.
Oh.
So yeah, it's really strange the UK, because the Black Country area is a set of other little areas, because it was heavy industrial back in the day. So we were responsible for making chains, nails, things like that. So it was named the Black Country because literally you open the door and it was just full of smog.
Mm.
So if you can imagine what old films of London looks like, and you go out the door, I think the Black Country was a bit like that.
That's real.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, but that Black Country dialects there, and you get all different dialects in different areas. So Liverpool and Newcastle, they've all got different dialects.
Yeah.
So yeah. So going back to your question, I'd say ta-ra.
Yeah.
I'd say
I've heard that on British comedies, like on the buses. I don't know if you must be familiar with
on the buses. Yeah.
Off you go. Have a nice weekend. Ta-da! Yes, ta-da!
Dan used to say that all the time. Ta-da! So that means goodbye, I guess.
Yeah, ta-ra or bye or yeah, whatever really.
Well,
see you later. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for taking the time again, and
yeah, thanks, Joe.
Hopefully we'll chat again.
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
All right. See you later. Take care.
See you soon, mate. Ta-ra.
Bye. Ta-ra. Coming through the speaker. Turn down the speaker. Speaker's off. You can still hear me. Speaker's coming back up. Speaker's high now.